Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be talking to an amazing woman, an extraordinary woman, in my opinion. Her name is Renee Mickens, and she is a part of the book reading that you guys have. If you have it, 31 Daily Inspirations for Extraordinary Women, written by extraordinary women. And she is one of the extraordinary writers. And before we kick off, I kind of want to tell you guys about her and why I chose her. Um, Renee and I have this kinship. I'm going to put it like that. We have this kinship. We have been friends, family, sisters for years, yet this is my first time seeing her face to face. This is my absolute first time seeing her face to face, but I've talked to her. I mean, I'm telling you, before we get started, I was reading in a book in my Bible, in First John 4:10, I believe. I think it was talking about, and this is real love. And it was like, not that we love God, but that God loved us. And then it goes on to say that when we love others, then we're carrying on what God wants us to do. We have Him in us. And I feel like this is my relationship with Renee. I feel like we are truly sisters because we have interacted so much. I feel like we blood sisters.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think one big thing is she's such a big supporter of whatever I do. And she has been one of those sisters for me. When I say sisterhood, I'm talking about someone who has your back, who supports you, and who is really there. And I think she has played in every aspect in some way. Whether I'm reading her posts have encouraged me, which is one reason why I really wanted to grab her on this. And it was because in wanting to encourage other women, I also wanted to be able to bring women to encourage them, not just me doing it all the time, but having this whole sisterhood, being able to encourage other women of every walks of life. And that is who she is. So I'm going to let her tell us a little bit about herself before we get into questions about her book, because she is Miss Day 17, y'all. So Renee, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
So much. I really appreciate being on your platform. I love you. Like you said, like we like blood sisters. We've had this sisterhood for some years and we never met. And so it's a pleasure to physically see you like this on this platform. To give a little bit of background about myself, my name is Renee Mickens. I'm a mom. I have a 17-year-old daughter and a 35-year-old son. I work in the commercial insurance industry. I have a career for about 27 years in that field. Yeah, I have a promotions company that I operate right now. And the promotions company has branched off into different avenues. One of me doing plus size modeling, and then doing some promotions, some events, and enable me to support some organizations to help further their cause, all underlying pretty much the culture of hip hop and preservation of that. And um, and then I just recently came out with a perfume line. So yeah,
I
that's
was waiting
me.
on you to say that.
Oh, wow.
I was waiting on you to say that because I'm definitely going to be making my purchase. I'm excited about it. What is the
Oh,
name of
thank
it?
you.
What's the
It's
name of your
called
product?
Exotic Kisses.
Oh, I love
Exotic
it.
Kisses.
Where did
Thank
that name
you.
come from?
Um, well, let's see. There's a story kind of behind the exotic name. Um, but the kisses part came from my daughter. And what happened was, I had got the sample bottle because before you can get the final version of the perfume, you have to pick out scents and you have to know the bass line and the major and the minor and the back,
Wow.
so and the percentages. So we went back and forth for a while before I was able to say, okay, this is it right here.
All
So it was a
right.
process. And so when I got the sample bottle back and my daughter saw the exotic name, and I spelled exotic EXOTIQUE
Okay.
with a little accent over the E.
Wow.
And so my daughter, I don't know, she was brainstorming and stuff, and then she came back at some point Oh, I gotta mute that. Sorry. And she came back and I don't know, she just said, she didn't really like the exotic name, but at some point she came back with the Kisses name, and I'm like, oh, I like that. So that's
That's
how that came
awesome.
up. Yeah,
Well, I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about getting behind you for that. I think we really should support the people that we know, you know.
right.
I think that's
Absolutely.
important. So my next question for you is, why did you agree to this project? Because I, for one, know that you're a busy woman.
Right. Well, I don't feel like I naturally in my flesh agreed to the project. I felt that it was like a calling from God, honestly, because it was so apropos to what I was doing at the time. When you reached out to me, my birthday is in December. It's December 23rd. So every year, like when my birthday is approaching, I start going through this gratitude thing and kind of writing. And so a few things that I wrote ended up being kind of like essays.
Okay.
And kind of one is that when you approach me, it's like it was just so like it just kind of fell in place
Wow. That
like a
is
puzzle.
okay.
Yeah,
That's
right,
big. That's
right.
big. One of those moments. So, um,
Absolutely, absolutely, that's it. And so that's how, like, with the exotic name for my perfume, it was kind of like, some things happened, and it was kind of like one of those moments. It was like a yeah, aha moment. Even when you asked me what did I want to label this, I
yeah.
said, what was it? Soul, something of the
Evolution
soul.
of self.
Of self, right? Yeah. And so I've been like on this kind of journey internally about my soul lately,
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, so it kind of just like it just gelled.
I like that. I like that word. It jailed. It
Yeah.
jailed.
Right. And so I love when things happen like that, because it's kind of like I'm not kind of like, but I know that it's like God is behind it.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's kind of how I take on projects with my business as well. A lot of people ask to work with me, but I just don't work with people. I wait, and if something happens and we end up working together on something else, then I'll work with them on what we originally talked about.
Oh, well, that's good. Now that's good. Now I'm really feeling special right at this point. I want to throw that out there. So,
Aw.
how important is it to encourage other women to you? How important is that?
I feel that it's extremely important because I feel like when I'm encouraging another woman, I'm encouraging myself as
Mm,
well.
that's good. Okay, that's a good answer. That is a good answer. Now I want to jump into your portion of the book, Evolution of Self. And I like that you talked about how you do your internal self reflections. I do that also. I think that's really important, that we really get to know who we are. I feel like as women that we are a designer's original. All of us are. And in being a designer's original, if you don't know who you are, it makes way for people to label and judge you. And then you take that on because you don't know who you are.
That's right.
But if I know who I am, I'm God's original. You can't
Right.
label what you didn't create, right?
Exactly. Right.
So I
That's
think
right.
that's big. So I love that part. And you talked about the beauty of getting older is the maturity and the true
Yeah.
learning of oneself that comes with it. To me, that one line, when I read that, I thought I had to keep rereading it, not because I didn't understand
Wow.
it, not that I didn't understand it, but there's a power in the beauty of getting older. And a lot of us, we don't, we try to do other things so we don't have to get older. We do all these extra measures.
Give it away. That's the problem. We give it away, before we truly learn who we are.
That's good. We give it away.
Yeah.
So what about for that person who gives it away and they want it back? What do you think about that? What do you have to say about that? Because as women, sometimes we've given away so much of who we are to other people
Yeah.
that the older we get, there's like nothing left. And then you see so many bitter women who are
Yeah.
bitter. What do you
Right.
say to that? Well, how do I go about getting myself back?
Right. Well, one for me is solitude. You have to spend time alone, you know, like, and it's a process. It's not, that it's not overnight.
Yes.
I've been through things, and one of the major experiences in my life and place of growth was when I moved to Atlanta, and I was an intercessor in church in New Birth Church in
Okay.
Lithonia. And it was a whole process that I went through, but I went through a lot. But it's like pruning, it's like learning, it's growing. So how when you're in ministry, even though when you're not in ministry, you still go through it. But when you're not in ministry, you don't understand the process and the terminology because you be kind of like in flesh. But when you're in ministry, you know that you have to pick up your cross, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Come on
And
now.
so that whole process of going through that is kind of like what helped me to kind of learn myself, and there's certain situations that I would find myself in. And at some point in my life, which is where that evolution of self came from for me, was me not allowing, like, I had a bad temper with people, if like, I'm a very nice person, but if someone really pissed me off, like,
Yeah.
I would really like for them, you
You let them
know
have
and-
it.
right. And so I had to, at some point in my life, I had to say, you know what, I don't need to end up in someone's jail, and I don't need to be in certain places. So I had to
Preach.
pray, God, what can I can't blame the other person. And this is where I talk about giving the power away.
Yes.
I had to ask God, what is it that I can do to prevent myself from getting there?
That's good.
And so there was a few things that happened. It's like, I like to be like a happy person. A lot of us like to be happy, but then you have some people that wake up and they just be angry. They go to work and they mad, and I'm like, how do you have such anger and energy? Like, how do you have that and bad energy in the morning and all day as a person? But I had to come to the realization that that's some people's lives. Like, some people don't have hope.
Mhm.
They don't have people around them that are doing good things. And so it's kind of like, if you are the positive person coming out of that, it's like, you're a real commodity, you
I love
know?
that. I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. And I keep going back to this because you're such a beautiful person, to
Thank
me. That's just the one thing. And you're always, even your affirmations, whether you call them that or not, when we talk, when you say queen, or you're congratulating me on stuff, that is something so big where a lot of people think that's like nothing. I always take that
you.
because I think that's feeding me. I think you're feeding me, when you do
Absolutely.
that. To me, that's feeding me. And I think we should all be, and we can feed each other either good food, nutritional food, or junk, you know. And
Yeah.
I take it to, the reason why I selected you is because I feel like it's nutritional food. It's inspiring. It's some things that on there, like when I'm watching you with entertainers that I used to grow up with and loved, I'm like, oh, that's my excitement. So you give it all to me in one avenue, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, stuff that we take for granted. When people are on your platform, they're watching you on your social medias, they're
Right.
watching you, and they're
Mhm.
watching your ups and downs or however you are. But I can say one thing about you, and all this time I followed you, is that you're consistent. To me,
Mhm.
there's strength in consistency. And when
That's
you know,
yeah.
that is, you are so consistent to me. I mean, in everything you do. But what I also like, and I tell everybody, is I love to be around people that are real. Just be who you are. I told
Right.
you before we came on, I'm goofy. I mean, I'm
Right.
just
Right.
goofy. That's just who I am all the time. I can't turn it off half the time. And the later at night,
Right.
it gets the goofy I get. But I love that about you, that you've been consistent, you are consistent, and you're always motivating somebody or
Mhm.
something, even if
Yeah.
it's your artist or whoever you go hard for them. And
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing about you that made me say, okay, I gotta have her,
Oh,
in here. That's the way I made my selections, were that it had to be people that affected me in some part of my life, that I thought if I put all of us in a book together, that
wow.
we could encourage that person who's standing on the edge, ready to jump, that woman who's ready
Right.
to give up. You're a businesswoman. It's some
Mhm.
stuff you talk about in here, your healthy personal boundaries. I love that. We
Yeah.
all have to have healthy personal boundaries. I have to be able to say, okay, you know what? If you're affecting my day in a negative way, I have to cancel you out of this. I have to set a boundary up against you. And when I read that, that's the way I took it. I don't know if that's how you wrote it, but that's how I took it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? That's something that I had to learn. Like, it's funny, you don't grow up learning this stuff, right?
You're
But
right.
it's like, how much hell I had to go through to get to that point. But not only I didn't learn that on my own. I heard that when I was in church service.
Whew.
I heard that when I was in church service. I think I was in New Birth at the time, and one of the pastors was talking about that, and I was like, wow, like, I didn't know that.
You said that life is the best teacher. Um, Along with getting older should come growth. Otherwise, we're stagnant. I love that because life is a teacher. Because like you say, you learn some stuff in church. There are some things that I ignored in church and ended up having to learn while I was in the world. Doing my thing. That was those were hard
Yeah,
lessons for me. But I respect those lessons. You know, even to this point in my life, like I really respect
right.
those lessons because they have helped me grow. It was a hard growth because I didn't listen to my parents or I didn't listen to those who meant well for me because I looked at those people who I thought I wanted to be like and around. And those are the people who I grasped, and those people who I kind of navigated myself towards. But in this part of my life, the reason why I call my YouTube page Navigating Nikki is because God has set me out on this whole new chapter of my life. And
Nice.
I can't see what's in front of me. I have to trust him. I know what's behind me, and I'm watching my growth as I'm watching myself soar and journey into my new me. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'm the best me I can be.
Absolutely.
And I think that's big. So I love that you talked about life being a teacher. I think your article was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
And I just have much respect for you. Before we get off of here, though, I want you to tell us what you have planned next so we'll know how to be able to follow you. Because I know if I follow you, I know that I have some people. I looked on your page because I'm nosy. So I looked on your friends' page. I'm like, wait a minute, these were my friends, and now they her friends. They done.
Oh,
They
for real? Wow.
love that though. I think that's
That's
big.
funny. I see that too on some of my friends lists. I see that too.
I'm cool with it though. I don't care. I'm loving it. I
Right,
love it because I
right,
was like, wait a minute. Now, how does she know her? Now I know how I know her, but how does she?
right. Wow.
So what do
That's
you have
funny.
planned next?
So right now I am working on the artist. I have an artist that I work with. His name is Grow De Niro. He has
Okay.
new music that he dropped today.
Okay.
It's on Spotify. It's called Gressel 102.
Okay.
Um, I work with an organization called Hip Hop Boulevard.
Okay.
It's an organization that was created for the preservation of the culture of hip hop.
Okay.
They have renamed a street here in the Bronx, Sedgwick Avenue, is where Cool Herc used to have the parties where they originated the first hip hop party, and so they renamed that street from Sedgwick to Hip Hop Boulevard. So
Wow.
yeah, right. So yeah, Kool Herc is he's credited as the father of hip hop. So
Yeah.
that's building that he grew up in on Sedgwick Avenue. That street they renamed it to Hip Hop Boulevard. So Hip Hop Boulevard, so I am the research director for that organization,
Awesome.
and we have an award ceremony every year. So this will be the first one that I'm actually working on because the other one I attended just to support, but now I'm involved. So what I do is collect the emails that are sent to the research department's email address where they submitted nominations to nominate people for an award. So I compile that list and kind of go through it with others, for proofreading purposes and stuff, and then they do the ballot sheets. The voting committee has to vote, and at some point in the next probably 3 to 6 months, we'll be having an award ceremony. Hopefully, if COVID is gone.
That is amazing. I am
Right.
super excited. So I want to
Yeah.
tell everybody, if you don't have your book, 31 Daily Inspirations for Extraordinary Women, written by extraordinary women, please go out and get your book, because this goes to a worthy cause. This cause is for a cause. It's personal. Its personal goes to battered women's shelter. We're getting purses. We're collecting purses. So anybody, if you have purses, feel free to send them to me. We're filling them with stuff. It's going to be amazing. We're going to make Mother's Day so special for these women who are scared, who have their children, who are running for their life. We want to give them one day full of hope, because you never know what that one day will do for that woman who is considering giving it all up. So that's what that's going to. Now, I'm going to give you a word before we exit out of here, and I want you to expound on that word for me. Your word is integrity.
Ooh, that's one of my favorite words. So you want me to give you what I feel integrity is?
Anything,
Inte-
anyway, however you want to talk about integrity, just give it to
okay.
us.
Well, integrity is important to me because one, as a human being, you want people to deal with you human, in a human manner, with respect. This world that we live in right now, it seems like there's no integrity at all. Like back in the days when we used to watch TV, whether it was Good Times or The Jeffersons
Yeah,
or Listen to Beaver,
yeah,
you know, it was always some kind of moral fabric built into the programming that would leave you with something good,
yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes.
And now it's like people interact with each other, and it's like I can interact with you and then I can leave you, and at the end of our interaction is something bad that I gave you, that I
Mhm.
dropped off. But I can take your good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Come
that
on now.
energy. So it's like, yeah, so to me, integrity is very important. Like there's people that I deal with, like I deal with music artists, and I have people that have been on my page for years that I've supported their events, right? And so they will not even click like on something
Yeah,
that I promoted for a particular artist. But
yeah,
then if we're at an event and you see the artist, then you want to give the artist some kind of product
yeah,
that you use, but you never even click like or
yeah.
never commented anything good on what they were doing. Like
Right.
integrity, come on, it has to go both ways. You want me to promote you, you got to promote me, or
Come
you want
on
me to
now.
support you. It goes both ways. So yeah, so integrity is very important because at the end of the day, like me, I want to leave. When you have an experience with me, I want at the end for it to be good.
Yes.
You
And I
know,
can say that this is a good
okay,
experience.
yes,
I can say this is a good experience. One, I'm
absolutely,
getting to really not meet you, because we've always talked about in the past, meeting, but of course life happens and that didn't happen. But I feel like for right now, this is what we got, and I'm respecting that. So
yes,
that's much
absolutely,
respect to you for that.
absolutely. One of the things that I wanted to do, it came to my mind, and I want to talk to Nicole regarding the podcast that we're doing, Queen Up,
Yeah.
because we interview artists and stuff, book authors and
Mhm.
different people, and I was thinking that I think you would be a great guest on that show, on that
Oh,
platform. Yeah,
thank
and that
you.
platform is her ministry as well,
Yeah.
and she
I did
also,
join that page, by the way.
oh, okay, yeah, so that's
I'm
good.
telling you, when
She's
I say
another
I'm gonna support
person.
you, I'm supporting you. If I feel like it's positive, if I feel like it's going in
Yes.
the direction, I'm with it.
She's another one I never met her. she
Really?
she lives in Maryland. And I kind of connected with her through her husband because her husband and I were in a junior high school in Brooklyn years ago, 35, and there's a Facebook group that was created years ago. So we've been connected through that junior high school page.
Oh, that is too
Oh, and
awesome.
we've been friends on social media for years.
Let me tell you something. The pandemic, I know people mad about being closed in, but I'm telling you something. God did something with us on this time, on this turn. I ain't mad at all. I ain't
Yeah.
mad at all. You know
Right.
what? I wash my hands all the time. you know, I'm having to wear the mask now, but at the same time, I'm able to sit down and really get a connection with God like never before. And I think that's what was missing. And I'm good with it, you know.
Right.
I'm
Right.
good with it.
And the stores should have always had hand sanitizer and wipes for us to use for the carts.
Oh, that part right there. Now we don't have to bring our own no more. We don't have to sneak it in like we sneaking hot sauce in. I know y'all ain't never done that. So
That's all.
now I'm really going into my ghetto side. I'm just joking. Just like, oh my gosh. Well, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for talking to me. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to talking to you again because you
I look forward to
inspire
talking.
me.
Oh, thank you. And you inspire me as well. And don't forget the book here. It's so beautiful.
Page 17, she page 17, the evolution of self, y'all. Thank you. You are just so awesome.
Thank you. So are you.